Every breakdown is an opportunity for a breakthrough. Welcome back to Along This Spiritual Journey, and R is for rebirth. Rebirth is what I built my entire business on. Rebirth is one of those opportunities that I think a lot of us fail to take advantage of when we fall to what we call trauma or tragedy or things that are just not going our way, versus it becoming an opportunity to become something new again. This whole representation of the phoenix rising from the ashes and being born again is literally what has driven me for over 10 years now to keep producing content about emotional intelligence. Because at the end of the day, the one thing that is a magic power that we all have is the opportunity to create something new from nothing. This is literally what happens when you do composting or when a body decays and it goes back to the earth. It takes away, but it gives back. When they say when somebody's leaving this earth, somebody's being born, that is true. At every second of every day, that is happening. And as we as human beings have the opportunity to step into our truest, most authentic selves while we're still here on this earth. Now, there is physical rebirth, but then there's also the spiritual rebirth and the emotional rebirth. And that's what we're going to go down the line with first. So when it comes to the emotional rebirth, this is when you get to decide as the adult you, even sometimes as the child you. I don't want to put it past children that they're not capable of stepping into these deeper, more esocentric types of expression, right? But when you really go down into that spirit realm and your emotional realm and you see that there are things in your life that no longer make sense, that are no longer helping you, being reactionary, assuming, things like this, you get to rebirth those emotions, literally. And it always shocks me when I do it because sometimes it feels and sounds like it's this really heavy task, but honestly, it's the smallest moment of, instead of popping off like I used to in this moment, I just said, okay, noted, and just moved on quietly and did what I had to do, right? But in the spirit realm, that's a huge win because an ancestor before, they popped off and chopped somebody's head off. Seriously. So when you get to make your energy and ancestor energy be reborn over and over and over again, I want people to remember this. Our ancestors had to grow into their emotions. That's why now everyone's talking about emotional intelligence. But before, no one cared about your emotions. They only cared about what they could do or what the logical answer was. And then later on down the line, as we noticed, when technology advanced and our understanding of things advanced, we were like, oh my gosh, we were out here ruling whole countries just based on somebody not liking somebody, right? That's how most wars happen. Somebody has to say, oh, I don't like them, so let's go mess with them. Do you understand the maturity level and the pettiness you have to have inside of you to literally go out of your way to destroy other people's lives? But if you could emotionally be a healthy person, be like, okay, this is not going to solve anything. Yeah, it might make people money, but those people are corrupt already. So we already know it's not solving anything. It's just a tactic to get people all up in their heads. So when you can say, this is not my heart, this is not what I believe in, you're rebirthing your emotions. You're rebirthing your consciousness, right? Think about, again, when we were so conditioned in high school that be prepared for college, be prepared for college. And there's nothing wrong with being prepared for college. I still believe that you should get some type of formal education outside of high school to continue learning and expanding on your talents. But at the same time, you understand how many people did exactly what they were supposed to do, prepared for college, went to college, and college did not help them. So now they had to rechange and recharge and elevate their new mindset to, well, now what? If college is not what I need or what was going to get me through, now what? And so you have to be able to literally transmute that energy and say, I got to learn how to create something for myself, or I have to learn how to utilize these things for myself so that now I'm not falling prey to somebody else's idea of what success looks like, right? We have died many, 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 many times again, not just physically, as I've said before, but spiritually, emotionally. You see it in how people evolve with the times as they change, right? You'll see some people where they're stuck in the old mindset and they want to be like, well, that's just the way it goes. And this is what's true. That's not what you say is true. And that's fine. People are always going to have their opinions. But as we know, there are other people out there who are creating those opinions for them. And so they're living their lives based on what they're being taught versus what they're experiencing. And the only way to be rebirthed is to experience. When you, like I said, I think the one that gets me is like with relationships. If you've never had a good relationship, a quality relationship, you're literally going to compare whatever you do know to this relationship. So if you think it's clingy, if you think it's too much, if you think it's not right, and then that person leaves, and then you find out later on down the line, everyone else is trash and you had the best opportunity of your life, but you didn't know how to respect it. Yeah, you have to rebirth that moment or continue to live in this karmic cycle of, well, it's not my fault, it was their fault. So therefore, I could get away with cheating them this way or doing whatever I did, right? You will never be reborn if you keep thinking that it's okay to keep dismissing and discarding people in a way that doesn't value their experience as well. Don't get me wrong, I have been a person where I think people get confused with ghosting. Ghosting is, yeah, it could seem tacky, it could seem mean, whatever. I always say it depends on the situation, because some people, the closure is you. You don't need to give them more closure because you already told them, if you treat me this way, if you disrespect me this way, I'm going to leave. Or I'm going to have to put me first and get away from you because clearly you don't care about how I feel. And so that's another way to rebirth, when you just like discard everything and change your life. When you get up and move to a new state, that's a rebirth. When you start a new job, that's a rebirth. But seeing the opportunity in the rebirth is the gold. That's the part that matters the most, because a lot of times these resets, they don't always feel good. Just like birth, from what we understand, I don't know physically, but from what I heard, physical birth hurts. It's not comfortable. So a rebirth is not going to always be comfortable. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be something that just, oh, I'm here, everything worked out great. It might once in a while. I'm not saying it can't. But for the most part, the rebirth, you're going to feel something. You're going to be going through something that you're going to have to say, okay, I get it. I see where I came from and I see where I'm going. I get excited about this because when we talk about being reborn again and like celibacy, for instance, that's a choice. No one says just because you physically did something before that now you're tainted for the rest of your life. No, if you want to be reborn again and cut people off and take your energy back, that's smart, because just like all things, you have to purge energy from you. So if you were messing around with people who were not worthy of your energy in the first place, yeah, you're going to have some residue left on you. And so sometimes going and saying like, I don't want to mess around with people anymore. I want to clean up my habit. I want to work out. I want to do these things. That's another way to be reborn. The rebirth is here. It's not going anywhere. I think people forget that once we are born on this earth, we don't stop being born again. We don't stop doing new things. Anytime we don't know, anytime we try, that's a rebirth. Why? Because when you don't know, you don't have the answer. So you're just living your life until you're exposed to something that gives you the answer. And then once you're exposed and you have the answer, now as the adult, it is your responsibility to decide how you apply that to your life. Some people miss their cycles. They miss their bus because they see that they had the opportunity to change and grow and be born again into something that they desire to be. But instead, they're like, this is too much labor. I'm just going to sit back and let somebody else do the work for me. And they go back to that old karmic cycle, right? I can tell you right now, I know somebody who literally, to the T, described that they were depressed. Not eating well, sleeping patterns off. I break down or shut down anytime major life decisions happen. I don't know what to do. I self-isolate out of this, right? So there's anxiety mixed in there. There's some other things mixed in there. And I'm like, maybe you should get some help. Honestly, like you should talk to a professional, not just your friends. No, I don't need therapy. It's not that bad. Are you kidding me? That's an opportunity to be reborn. If you are telling me you see the issue and you know the issue, I'm telling you I see the issue and I can see how it's affecting you, and then you're offered help and you're like, no, you're choosing not to be reborn. That's why the rebirth is so important, because it gives us the opportunity to not only rebrand our story, rewrite our story, it gives us the opportunity to rebirth into who we genuinely want to be. How do you want to look? That's your choice. How do you want to dress? That's your choice. How do you want to talk? That's your choice. These are all opportunities to be reborn into self. You do not have to walk around with the government name you were given if you don't want to. Some people disagree. I don't care. It's just legally what somebody else wrote on a piece of paper. But you should be able to name yourself. You can go to the courts and legally change your name if you like. That's being reborn again, right? Some of y'all change your age. That's your choice. Maybe you're going back a little bit, a couple years there. But again, whatever you decide is what you want to do. That is the beauty of a rebirth. No one can take it from you. No one can tell you that you can't. No one can tell you how to do it. A rebirth is literally, what do you want to be? And how do you want to do it? And when you talk to the universe and you speak with the universe and you give it feedback, it's going to give you exactly what you want. Now, just like labor, you're going to have to carry it around for a few months. There's some things where it's like, listen, I didn't say it was going to happen today. I didn't say it was going to happen tomorrow. But as long as you are prepared and you are nurturing, you're nourishing your body, and you're getting prepared for when labor needs to happen, you're going to be all right. Prepare the house, prepare the room, prepare your finances, all of it. That's the rebirth. You understand how many seeds I've planted that I know once they flourish, ain't no going back? It's already flourishing now, right? I'm already doing what I need to do online now. But the beauty is, there's seeds. When people say, I forgot about that video. I got videos from years ago that people are just now starting to tap into. And I'm like, oh, okay. I like that. I like that because it's telling me that I was on the right path and that I was meant to do what I needed to do. I might have been a few light years ahead, but the path was still laid. And so now other people are be able to be rebirthed on the path that I created, right? This is why I say I'm a world builder, because I know that there's an experience that a lot of us, we talk about, but we don't actually know how to articulate. Spirituality is not for the weak. Spirituality is saying, I understand that this earth is temporary. Maybe the physical earth isn't, but I'm saying this earth for me, for as I know it, is temporary. And so I only have so many opportunities every day to choose what I want to do and be and experience this life the way I want to. So why not do it in a way that makes it fun for me or educational or whatever it might be, right? I could sit back and just live life and, I'm not saying that you're not giving by not creating, but I'm saying when you choose to live a quieter life, that's a rebirth too. Because you're not choosing to be out and about in everyone's face. You're choosing to reclaim your peace and reclaim what you feel is your legacy, right? So I never diss anybody for like how they create their legacy, as long as you know that the journey is, again, it's a self-reflection all the time. No matter how much you don't want to reflect on it, the reflection will happen to you and it will project onto others. So when you tell yourself or deny a rebirth to yourself, or in tarot they call it a tower moment, these are, again, opportunities for growth. You're really telling me that you don't want to grow? Some people don't want to grow. Some people are like, nope, I'm fine in my little pot, in my little window, and that's all I need. And that's okay. And some of us are like, no, I want to be a big old plant that becomes a crop, that becomes a forest, and everything lives on me, relies on me. And I'm not saying in a way that they rely that they're sucking energy out. I'm saying like some people, like myself, I enjoy taking care of those around me. I enjoy taking care of the surroundings that I live in and dwell in. So that means if I enjoy doing that, if you're a part of my life, you're just going to literally be able to reciprocate or receive that and just be a part of it. I'm not doing it because I want to control anyone or anything like that. I do it because I enjoy seeing people genuinely calm, happy, at peace. So every time I get to be reborn, someone else gets to be reborn. That's how I give back with my messages, because again, I would listen to the tarot myself, and other videos are just energy readers, and they'll say a couple words and boom, energetically I was just reborn. I'm like, oh my God, I did not think of that. Oh my God, yes, that's exactly what I was experiencing. I just didn't know how to put it into words, right? This is how spirituality works, where you're just living your life and then there's just little key words that come in and just turn everything on, and then it makes sense. So how I practice remaining at my, I want to say, my cycles of learning and being able to receive so that I can continue to rebirth. Because to me, a rebirth is not a bad thing. It's literally like a butterfly. You know, you go through that metamorphosis, and then you become out who you are, and you get to flourish, and you keep redoing it over and over and over. And so for me, I've learned that spirituality and staying tapped into what I feel are voices that are speaking to me, knowing that they've never guided me wrong, and knowing that they're trying to help me along this game, that's the part of my rebirth that I appreciate the most. So physically, how we can be reborn again, you're going to always hear me say it. Working out, eating foods that aren't going to make you feel crappy. Again, yes, we're all going to pass, but don't you want it to be easier for you? Wouldn't it be much easier to be healthy-ish versus not healthy and you're just falling apart? You know what I mean? So just be reborn by making sure that you're taking care of yourself. And every day you wake up, as I age, I'm always shocked at things that I'm like, oh, I got to maintain that because I'm falling apart. And so when I see like, yeah, I used to be able to do that when I was younger, but not so much now. I have to be reborn in my own mindset, my own discipline to know that I have to do squats. I have to do ab exercises. I'm so tall that my body's like, if you don't, you're going to tip over and break because your back can't handle the weight as you get older. I have to. I have to keep my lower body in shape. So that's something that I'm reborn into all the time. And it reminds me all the time, especially when my back goes out, that I'm like, oh yeah, I got to remember to take care of myself. Emotionally, same thing. When you decide to read new books, when you decide to watch a new show, when you decide to investigate, when you decide to sit and listen versus trying to respond, you're being reborn. Over and over and over, you're being reborn. And in that opportunity of new birth, you're fresh, you're new, and just like that person's learning or receiving, you can learn and receive, right? Just like you want to give back, that person can give back. And this is how we continue this cycle of emotional intelligence, because again, you can be emotionally intelligent by yourself, but if you're not giving back to the collective conscious, then what's the purpose, right? There's a lot of smart people who are not willing to give the tools to people who need them, and instead of helping, they become cynical and say, why doesn't anyone know? Because you're not sharing the knowledge. It's okay to share the knowledge. That helps you be reborn as well as others be reborn. Spiritually speaking, you have to learn how to sit in silence and just be present. It's the most important part of the rebirth, because you will know when you're spiritually awakening, when something is coming to you in a way that you've never received before. It is crazy because you're like, how did I not know? How did I never know? That's why I think it's beautiful when people say they're in their awakening phase, because it's like the coolest feeling ever. It's scary, but it's also really cool because you're like, this whole entire time I thought this is how life worked. This whole entire time I thought this is how the world worked, and in reality it was just somebody's made up world. It's shocking how much stuff I find out later on down the line that I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense that somebody would want to control that so that other people wouldn't reawaken to themselves and know the truth about consciousness, right? Consciousness simply means you are aware of everything that's going on, and any possibility is possible because of how science works, right? Anything is happening right now. With the forest and the tree, when they say, can you hear it fall? It still makes sound even if you can't hear it. It's still falling even if you don't see it. Right? So things are happening even without us knowing all the time. So in order to be reborn into new worlds over and over and over, we have to be willing to accept what we don't know, as well as research what we don't know. Don't just accept it because someone told you. Actually go and look and learn and read, and then apply it to your life and see if it's tangibly correct. Because a lot of the times when we are going down and we have, like we said, like a breakdown, right? That moment, like when they say cry, when I cry, oh, I feel so fresh afterwards. Like, because it's like you're literally emptying out all of that stuff that's been weighing you down, that it's not serving a purpose. You just dragging it around, you just hold it in, and eventually the body's like, I can't handle this. I got to get it out. I got to get it out. And you purge all that stuff out of you. You purge out that mindset that don't belong to you. You purge out the people that don't belong to you. You purge out the substances that don't belong to you, right? And you just cry, cleanse, let the water flow through you. I promise you, it is like the most beautiful thing afterwards, because you're like, you can laugh. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was upset about that. Or, yeah, I was a little stressed. I needed that. Like, I know that was something that I've been dealing with for a minute. I just didn't know how to express it. That's why the body's like, we gonna get this out of you one way or the other. So a lot of the times people are like, why does everything have to be so tragic for us to get something beautiful? It doesn't. You could just be that beautiful little bud that out of nowhere just pops open and is a beautiful flower. But you have to be willing to know that in the beginning, there's gonna be a little growing pains. There's gonna be a little bit of hardship. But then once you're stable and you understand how it works, the rest is butter. It's beautiful, right? So when you can allow yourself to break down without stressing out yourself, because a lot of people hold on to so much and think that breaking down is weak. A breakdown means that you can't handle it no more and your body needs a break. You've overfilled it to its capacity. It needs to breathe, right? Nothing in this world is meant to hold everything. Eventually it has its capacity, right? Everything has its square space, whatever. So you can only stuff so much in somewhere, but before it's like, I got to give way. I need to release this. So respect the rebirth. It's there for a reason. It's okay to, again, not always have the answers. It's okay to know that you're so stressed you want to cry. Cry. Let it out. Get it out. Because then you're bringing in new opportunity. Now think of it like you just cleared out a room. It's like a really dirty room in a house, and you have all this clutter, and it just feels overwhelming. And eventually you just go piece by piece, and you just move it out. You don't even have to keep it, look at it, nothing. If you just want to completely discard it, that's when you go in and just say, none of this stuff matters. None of it belongs to me. Just dump it. I'm starting fresh. Here's a fresh new room. No matter what happened in this room, this is a brand new room. That's what it's going to be, right? Some people can't do that, so it's important to go piece by piece and say, well, here's what this was, and that's what it represented to me, and this is how it affected me. And that's why talk therapy is important, because it's literally unpacking that room. Now, the thing about talk therapy is once you've unpacked that room, you got to go back out and figure out how to put that storage somewhere or throw it away so that you can now redesign this room. That's what it's really about. So again, you don't have to go to therapy. You don't have to go to a counselor or a life coach or your friends or family, whatever works. But just knowing that you have the opportunity and the access to tools that help you during your rebirth is important, right? A lot of situations in life are just like midwives, where you could either allow them to help you through the pain and coach you through the pain, or you can try to do it on your own. Either which way, it's still happening to you. So I know that for myself, when I think of rebirth, I always think of new opportunity. This is a new opportunity, and it's a new way of thinking, or it's something new that I can do. And if I have knowledge from the past, now I can apply it to this new life and make it even more enhanced, right? Because again, when we go through our spiritual cycles of, let's say, unfortunately people pass, that's a spiritual moment, because you're mourning that person's body, their idea of them, the memory of them, and then the spiritual aspect of them. So it is hard to let go when a part of your body is saying, I can't let go yet. And the other part is saying, we have to let go. The rebirth will still happen, but what happens sometimes is the spiritual side of us rebirths into its new life, but the body hasn't. And so what this looks like is there's people out there doing good work in the name of others, but their whole identity becomes doing work for the name of that person. Nothing's wrong with that, but you don't want your whole identity to become somebody else's, or you don't want your legacy to become somebody else's identity. Some people are okay with that. I'm not dissing that. I think it's beautiful, but you do want to become your own person after you have processed the information, right? You want to keep people's names alive, but you also want to build something off of that. So this is where you can build memorials. This is where you can put laws into effect. This is where you can create awareness, right? That's what I mean by don't just sit on it and just cry and mourn and I wish they were here, I wish they were here. It sucks. But you can also say, well, here's what I can do now to help others prevent this situation from happening. And if it was a natural cause, it was a natural cause. But if it was an accident, bring awareness to it. Bring some type of life back to it. And that's, again, a way to be reborn again. Because now it's giving you a purpose, a set of ideas that you can now go put out into the world and give back to others. I'm all over the place because this can be applied to anything. Like I said, it can be applied to work, it can be applied to school, it can be applied to family. As long as you understand that a rebirth is a new opportunity for you to try something new without falling back to the ways that it used to be. You can go and reflect on it, but once you're reborn, it's hard to go back. There's no going back. That's why what they say with the Matrix, that's something that we bring up a lot and talk about a lot, but when they come out the pod, once you're aware, you're aware. It's kind of hard to go back to being blinded and not really knowing or pretending you don't know once you've already been reborn, right? So again, this is one of those topics that it's very existential. It's all over the place because rebirth is a topic that I, again, hold true to my heart, which is, again, when I went through being a party boy, I was definitely a F-boy, drinker, partier. I was escaping my family's religious, whatever, then knowing my identity of who I am and what I love. And it was all these things that I was trapped in. And then when I finally said, yeah, I appreciate being able to be the opposite of what they taught me to be, but I don't want to fight an identity that's not mine. So I was like, I love me. I love who I am. I love who I love. I don't need permission. I have the confidence to do what I want. That made me be born again. I went into spirituality like saying, I'm a good heart. I'm a good person. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't believe in hurting others in chaos. And I had people from my past saying, you ain't that nice. You ain't that kind. And I was like, that's sad that you don't believe I am because that's how your heart operates. And that's why they say, be careful who you hang around and be careful who you give attention to, because they'll start thinking that you think like them or that you're just like them. And they'll start trying to drain off your energy and feed on energy that you don't want to be a part of. So when I say it's okay to be reborn again, if you got to get rid of everybody in your life, do it. I always say this, you only get one life to live. The last thing you want to do is sit around and hold on to people who ain't trying to grow with you. But if you see that these people have awareness and they want to grow, bring them along. But they have to do their own work on the journey. You can't do it for them, period. They got to do it on their own. And I've said that to other people where I've let people go. If they come back years later, sure, we can be cool again. We won't be cool the same way we were. But if I see that you have now evolved into a person who is not just a human doing, but a human being, right? I love that saying. Your being, your purpose is serving beyond just following the norm and being like everyone else. That's boring. Be reborn over and over and over and over and over again. Let it happen. Let the change come. Because again, we can't control everything anyways. So our best way to defend ourselves is to learn it, be prepared, and to allow, right? I'm not saying allow people to come in and be rude and torture you and stuff like that. No, I'm saying allow energy to come in when it's trying to change. Let it do what it got to do, but make sure you adapt and change with the times, right? Right now with this whole administration, I don't do politics, but there's nothing that I can do if these people have already decided they're going to do what they're going to do. So all I can do is be reborn again and to knowing how to preserve myself, take care of myself, and be ready for the next journey. I hope this made sense. If not, it's okay. It'll catch up to you later. But per usual, thank you for following along. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and follow me on my socials. Check me out on my website, services, products. Everything you need is there, one-stop shop. Give this a like if you want. Follow along if you need. Thank you much. Love ya. Mwah.